Well, go on, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. This is the weekly outlook for the currencies and Forex pairs, the cryptos and indices for the week of January 9th to 14th. Hope everybody's doing well and are safe. I'm going to start off this week with the US dollar index and starting on the weekly time frames, just taking a look at what's set up and what I expect for the week. So as you can see at this point here with the US dollar, we're at a very strong previous support resistance area, and we have a green candle on the weekly looking like it wants to push higher, but we'll tell a little better if this is so or we're going to be dropping back um, this week. So let's take a closer look and see on the daily what's setting up. Okay, so we've been in quite a move to the upside. So the expected move is to the upside. However, you can see that we're definitely completely sideways. So because we're sideways, we could expect a further drop first, maybe back down to the 95 area before we get a continuation of this move to the upside. And it looks like that's what's playing out at this time. So I'm going to drop down one more time frame to the 4 hour, and that will give us a good idea of where we are. So I'm going to just put some trend lines on. This will make it a little easier to see. So I'll drop a trend line on from here. So we're kind of skimming these candles like that, and then we'll put another one below, and we're getting something like this. Okay, so let's drop down to the 4 hour, and this is what we see. So we're inside this huge channel, and we're just gyrating up and down in it. So at this point, we're moving to the upside. However, this could be a short-lived move, as we could drop back down to the previous support area first. Okay, so in the short term, we could have a push to the upside, but we could drop back down before too long. These are 4 hour bars. So basically, I would say weakness going into the US dollar more than likely for the first half of the week at least before we see some turnaround. Okay, so that's a look at the US dollar. Let's take a look at crude oil. Okay, I'm going to go to the weekly. And crude oil, lots of movements here to the upside. And it looks like we're pushing towards the resistance area with some strength. So on the weekly, we have lots of strength. On the daily, you can see that strength is still ongoing. So I'm going to continue. Any kind of pullbacks will be opportunities to buy into crude oil, heading back up into previous resistance area here. So going into this week, any pullbacks, again, opportunities to buy into crude oil to the upside. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly. So Bitcoin, as I pointed out last week, heading down, looking for Bitcoin to be down in the low 40s, and indeed we have reached that area. We're coming into a very interesting zone. So if we break this level here, we're still going to be heading down. So looking a little bit on the weak side still. I don't see any green at all. So, well, just maybe a little blip there. So let's go to the daily and take a good look at this. So you can see that we've been in a complete downward mode, and we're right at a very critical point. So are we going to bounce at this point? I don't really see that happening. I see if it does, it's opportunities again to sell. So continued weakness in Bitcoin could take us back down below 40,000 into the 38,000 area. More than likely was the scenario for Bitcoin. We could even go further, but that's looking out for the week, we could see lower prices into the high 30s. Okay, let's take a look at Dogecoin. Haven't looked at that for quite a while, so let's see. Dogecoin is also, because of the Bitcoin moving down, Dogecoin is doing the same type of thing, and it too is pushing to the downside. Don't see any turnaround, any moves to the upside, opportunities to sell. Okay, let's take a look at gold on the weekly. So gold is struggling. We've been inside this very choppy area for quite a while. This is on the weekly, but it looks like further weakness coming up for this week. And from the daily time frame, you can see that's exactly what's happening. So I can see further moves coming back down into previous support area is in the cards for gold for this week. So any moves to the upside, opportunities to sell gold. Okay. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Try something different here. On the weekly, Litecoin also doing what Bitcoin is doing, heading to the downside. So opportunities to sell Litecoin on any type of pullback, which doesn't look like it's going to happen. So opportunities to sell Litecoin to the downside as well. Okay, let's take a look at the US 2000. That's the Russell 2000 small mid cap stocks. You can see that on the weekly here, we've been inside this very tight band of ups and downs for quite a while. The expected move is still to the upside. However, it's a battle trying to get out of that. So at this point here, it looks like it wants to try to get out of there, but we've had quite a move to the downside. So essentially, we have been retracing this move, and we're at a critical point where we could see a possible turnaround this week back to the upside. So looking at, if I drop to the 4-hour, take a closer look at this, it's definitely trying. Any moves to the downside here in the short term would be opportunities to buy back to the upside for the longer term. Okay, so this should hold the same for the Dow. Let's take a look at the Dow on the weekly. And so Dow right now, we broke the new highs, and it's just sitting right at that critical point at this moment, right up at resistance. We've had quite a pullback, so we could see with Dow, after this big huge move, we could see further downside. That's totally possible. Just like with the Russell, we could see a further downside first before we see a turnaround. So that's, I'm not going to negate that. That's a total possibility before we get a move back to the upside. Okay. And this can go, quite a ways down. We could come back all the way down to this red bar, in essence. So a little bit of weakness starting off the week, more than likely, for the Dow. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 on the weekly. Again, broke the new highs, but we've come back down, and it too has retraced the previous move, and we're sitting again. We could come all the way back down to this area before we get a move back to the upside. So that's totally possible as well. So looking all like similar. US technology, this is the one that's been really giving everyone the fits, really dropping from its previous. So you can see it made new highs way back here, but tried to do it, but it last couple of weeks, but couldn't, failed completely, and now is sitting at a very important intersection. If this continues down, you can see here, okay, I'm going to draw a proper trend line, and then you can see what's going on, because this is, if we draw a trend line from here, you can see that we have not broken. We broke it at just a tad right there, but we're sitting on a very critical point here. So if we break through this line with vigor, we could be coming way back down, even back down to this type of area here. So short term, looking down, but how far down will depend on this vigor in selling. It's definitely possible to come back to where I've drawn this line and somewhere in this area, and then we could see a move back up again. Okay, so it tried very hard to break through this area, but could not break through this area. So the sellers are definitely in control of this market. All right. What else do we have? That's the U.S. Technology Group. So um, let's see. Let's take a look at one more. Let's take a look at one another. The euro. Let's take a look at the euro. Euro. We looked at the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar. We said maybe a little bit of weakness. So the euro then would have a little bit of strength at least in the short term. So weekly. That's not the euro. I'm sorry. This is the euro here. That was Ethereum. So euro, if US dollar has weakness, or sorry, a little bit of strength, then euro is going to have weakness. And you can see that's what's pointing here. Euro is heading to the downside. And what we're seeing here on the daily is this, we're set up to fail here. Any moves to the upside, opportunities to sell to the downside more than likely. So that's what seems to be playing. We're just inside of a very strong sideways movement, and the the outlook is looking bleak for the euro against the US dollar. So any moves to the upside short term will be short lived, and we'll see continued weakness going into this week. All right, so that's a look at what's setting up for this week. So profitable trading to everyone. Be safe out there. We're done now. Thank you.